Emergency Polkadot price video because, folks, what I saw in the charts has shocked me, but what I saw off-chain is even more bullish. And before we get into the 4-hour charts and some price predictions for 2024, I want to tell you why I'm so bullish on Polkadot at these levels. So right now, you can see Polkadot is ranked 14th in coin market cap here. So, I mean, look, great tokenomics. Most of the token has been released. It's only going to have a total supply of 1.4 billion, and we're already at 1.3 billion. If you hit market cap, it's also looking pretty good right there. So, you know, it hasn't had a big influx of tokens, but the charts are looking bullish. But what I'm seeing off-chain has got me even more bullish. Now, Polkadot been leading in dev activity. This is for the past 30 days. This is about a week ago. You can see it right here coming in at number 6. But for the entire year, because, you know, things fluctuate and, you know, maybe February's great, but March is bad and April's good again. But if we look for the entire year of 2023, which ecosystem is bringing in newcomers when it comes to developers, Polkadot is also a top 10 project, more than Near, more than ICP, more than Optimism, more than a lot of these very, very strong, robust dev ecosystem tokens. So Polkadot is always a top 10 coin when it comes to activity, at least by developers. So on that metric alone, you know, very, very bullish. But this is potentially the most bullish thing about Polkadot, and it is Grayscale. Grayscale has a fund, the Grayscale Dynamic Income Fund. This is essentially similar to the Bitcoin ETF or similar to their futures-based ETFs that they have, and they seek to optimize income in the form of staking rewards associated with proof-of-stake digital assets. I think value investors and older investors are going to look at a Bitcoin ETF, especially after Bitcoin has gone up 100%, 200%, as you know, maybe the pump is done. And so they're going to look for some investments, maybe with a dividend-style return. And I think this dynamic income fund with staking rewards, very, very similar to dividends. I've talked about this in the past with Ethereum, and I could see this being huge. So the Grayscale Dynamic Income Fund, it has a bunch of different cryptos in it, and you can see here, top 3 crypto is Polkadot. It is the green wedge of the pie right here. 14% of these holdings is just holding Polkadot. So very, very bullish. Grayscale has tons of outflows with the Bitcoin ETFs, and you know what they ended up doing? They lowered their fees. And so I just see this becoming just a more attractive investment as people try to diversify. It's like, okay, I've deployed my capital in the Bitcoin ETF, and now I have a little bit extra to play. You know, maybe they put 80% of their funds in Bitcoin ETFs and maybe 10% in an ETH or maybe 10% in this fund right here, the Grayscale Dynamic Income Fund. It's in the name, it's a good name, and to me, just Polkadot making up 14%, huge, and I expect huge buying pressure from Grayscale as this fund gets more and more popular, because this fund is not going to be flat. It's either going to become more popular or less popular, and I think 2024 is a year for mainstream adoption, and this is just going to equate to very bullish price action. But now let's get back to the charts. Now, this is the 4-hour chart, and you see this squiggly line. We're going to talk about the squiggly line in a little bit. But the 4-hour chart's looking very bullish. We have a really, really nice trend line that we're forming here. And you can actually drag this trend line all the way back to October of last year. That was the low for a whole lot of crypto projects. And you can see we went a little bit below, boom, bounced that back up and turned it into support. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the short term we retest this, maybe coming down another 20, 30 cents, maybe $1, you know, depending on if we spike up a little bit ahead of time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a very short-term pullback, potentially even, you know, maybe testing it to the downside. But on the large time frames, this is where things start to get really interesting, folks. Now, we're going to highlight a couple things. First thing we're going to look at is the volume bars down here on the bottom. You can see, and if we go from the top of 2021, that was around November, Polkadot did put in a second all-time high in the second half of 2021, which is, I consider pretty bullish. And if we look at all the red you see in the volume bars here. So just tons and tons of selling. And now we're getting huge amounts of selling pressure. I know you see a little spike right there. That was exchanges collapsing. So, you know, that was just people fleeing the ecosystem. But now you have people pouring into the ecosystem. And we haven't seen volume like this in a long time. And we've never seen bullish volume like this unless you go all the way back before this magnificent run up where it just ends up pumping. Holy smokes, 700% in 56 days. Now, I think 700% in 56 days is going to be a little bit moon mathy, but I do think we're going to see a pump. And part of the reason I'm so bullish is the Fibonacci. When you start running these out, you start seeing some pretty interesting things lining up, everybody. You kind of see that first level where, maybe we're going to get rejected or really close to $15. And the reason I find it so interesting, we see it play out a second time if we run out of Fibonacci right here. And look at the alignment of these two lines coming in right at $15. So I expect us at least here to, test the 2618. Now, I want to show you something in the charts that I couldn't help but just be fascinated by. If we run this Fibonacci out, you're going to see a little bit of perfect alignment right there. But this is where I think we take our next levels. You see on the second Fibonacci, we ran it from this high to the next local bottom. We came up to the 168. Now, if we were to hit the 168, folks, that is where I get my $90 target for Polkadot. Now, I think we can hit $90 in 2024. That is close to a 10x where we're at right now, $9.50. Now, the next thing has me even more bullish, everybody. If I go ahead and get these out of the way, and let me go ahead and delete this as well. We have a little bit of a head and shoulders / cup and handle. They're going to play out the same way. So we go ahead and draw a line right here. You can see nice little head and shoulders starting to form. But you could also make an argument this is a cup and handy. We always like a little cup and handy. But it's going to give us essentially the same price target. So what you want to do here is you want to see from the top down to the bottom, and then we can go ahead and move that out here to test where the break is. So I expect a little bit of a nice little pump close to this $15 level, but then the next level after that, I'm kind of looking right here at the $37 level. Let me go ahead and remove those lines. I want to show you one more thing, everybody, in the charts that I found pretty compelling here. If we go ahead and do run a cup and handy right here, we pull it down from the downside. Now, if we have a little bit more of a conservative target from this breakout, everybody, you can see nice alignment with these previous levels that we were testing, I would say back in January 22. This is kind of the first test to the downside to see where some strong support is. So I expect a little bit of a resistance around $15, a little bit more resistance around $30, and then blast off to the moon, $90 price prediction for Polkadot. So I just saw these in the charts, had to share it with you, but really what really has me bullish is this Grayscale fund and the dev activity. So what's happening on chain and what's happening off chain and what's happening in the charts are all making a nice little perfect storm for Polkadot. So I just want to let you know you're probably not bullish enough. And I'm DZ. We'll see you in your dot bags at the top.